Hi.
Welcome. Good to see you guys.
You too.
It's good to be seen.
Yeah. I like being seen too, but you know that already, Sam, right?
Yeah. And you like being heard.
Heard, seen, felt, all those things.
Yeah.
Across the board.
He's a plethora of the senses.
Yeah, if you have a sense, bring it on. You know what I mean? It's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's 2025, you guys.
It is.
Yeah, and this is our first show back from our break. And I'm super
Is this
excited.
officially season 6?
This is officially season 6, episode 220 something or another. I can't remember what it is offhand, but yeah, we keep rolling. So 6th year of this show. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
We've been doing it a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to start off by changing the vibe here. I got a fucking quote that I think is perfect to start the year because it goes with who I am. You know what I mean? It really does. So just
Why am I scared?
You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be scared. All right, so listen up. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality that you want, and you can help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not a philosophy. This is physics. Albert Einstein. That's about manifesting what you want, right? So, if you put any energy towards something, Jesus.
Don't sneeze, shame her. That is just energy. You gotta get along.
Thank you, Steve. I'm so glad to stop you here to get my back.
Yeah, that's funny. That scared the hell out of me. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Anyway, it's all about manifesting your energy. I swear to God it is. That's the thing I try to do every day when the chips are down, when you don't know for sure if everything you're doing is going to work. You know, you've got 2 options, or 3, you could say. 1, you could rage quit. 2, you can just be miserable. Or 3, you can be positive. So why not be fucking positive? I just don't understand why you can't. So.
Rage quitting is for video games anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's my goal. I don't have resolutions. I have goals.
Okay.
I'm gonna continue to be positive.
Philosophy, and I love working with you because of that philosophy. I personally don't have that philosophy. I kind of go with the I may be negative, but I'm going to go through the cave anyway. Like that's where I come from. Like,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
because you're still moving forward.
Yeah.
So what I think is,
like, tell myself it's cool.
Yeah, but do you have like Sam and I talked about this the other day? Do you have like the good angel and the bad angel kind of thing, or the cool guy and the bad guy? Yeah, and isn't it weird how one voice can be louder than the other depending on what you who you put your energy towards?
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
Or how you're feeling.
Or how you're feeling. Yeah, it's odd. It's really odd because if the voice is always there, that other one, you know it's there. You just don't want to hear his bullshit at the time, right? If it's a positive one, it's like, no, you can do it. And you're like, fuck off. I don't care what you're saying right now, right? Because the other guy is just like, you don't have to do shit. You can sit on your ass, watch TV, eat that popcorn, make that peanut butter jelly sandwich. It'd be a fuck. No big deal, right? You could do that. And he sounds cool as fuck. But if you switch it over.
You're right. You are right.
Right. Yeah. But if you switch it over and listen to the other guy, the negative guy shuts the fuck up for a while because he's really a pussy. You got to get rid of the pussy. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, you guys ready to do a show?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. We have one of the most influential people in indie film that I've come across on the show again today. He's been on the show a few times. He's just he's a great guy. He's just a great guy. And he's done so much for indie filmmakers out there in all aspects of film, from sharing to teaching to everything. He across the board. He's just a very rare person you're lucky enough to find. If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's Jay Horton. So I think we will do our intro to this show. Get it started. Get Jay in here and let him take over the mic and teach us all a little bit about how to make fucking movies. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Around the Reel, your host, Aaron Carlson,
Stevie.
and Samantha Hannah. Ah, shit. Here we go again.
All right.
Baby.
There he is.
That intro is nice. I like that.
You like that one?
Yeah. Yeah, is that new?
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, that looks really good. Good job.
Thanks.
And since we're starting out with New Year's quotes, I have a quote.
Oh shit. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
So, as I was sitting here, getting everything organized today, and I reminded of the immortal words of Busta Rhymes, who said, "Where my bitch is at, where my bitches is at, where my bitches is at." Of course.
The great and mighty Busta Rhymes.
Of course, yeah. I mean that in a gender neutral.
Oh yeah.
Oh my man, Mr. Horton, how are you, buddy?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Oh, no problem. It was good. I was glad to be here again. I'm, right in the middle of getting ready to do a really busy month, so I was like, let me come on and talk to these guys.
Oh, I fucking love it.
It's always fun.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad you're here, and the audience is coming back. We had so many ups and downs in 2024. It was kind of a rough ride for us for a minute, with stuff going on with Chuck and Sam, and Steve and I had shit going on. It was hard keeping up with everything, and we had to take breaks from this to finish other stuff.
Yeah.
I think it says something though that it was one of the busiest years.
Yeah.
Not only because of all that shit, but the actual output. Like when you did the Christmas little video with everything, I'm like, Jesus, that was all in 2024.
Yeah, we did a lot.
Yeah,
we did a lot of stuff. But I mean, that's you talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk. You really do, man. And I talk a lot of shit, so I fucking do it. So I appreciate all the help you guys give me all the time. So thank you. Speaking of doing a lot of shit, all right, Jay. As always, and Sam and I were talking about this the other day again when I was like, do you remember when I first found Jay Horton on YouTube? It was the coolest moment for me, dude, back then. I was just like, there was something about your vibe, dude, and you didn't have many subscribers at that time. You were just starting to put out,
was that like 6 years ago? Like 5 years ago? Something like that?
5 years ago. Yeah, I think it was about 5 years ago. And I don't know how I stumbled across you, but I think the algorithm just gave you love on my feed because I always looked for videos of, filmmakers doing things out there. And yours popped up, and I was like, who's this dude? And I clicked the button.
And then he came to me, and what he said, I'll never forget. Check out this inspiring motherfucker.
Yeah, that's what it was,
man. Put that on his next poster.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was so cool to see somebody, just, in my mind when I first started watching you, I was like, okay, so he's a couple tiers above us. You know what I mean? So this is cool. So now I'm learning something from somebody that's, been doing it longer than us in a professional manner. And I can pick up some things and here and there. So, I wanted to again say thank you for doing that for all the filmmakers back then. And I know you don't do it as much anymore because you're trying to focus on other things, but I think that's what got you really going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it had, the YouTube channel had come along at a time where honestly, I was kind of floundering, in my career. I had directed quite a few movies. I think I made like 15 or something at that point. And I had owned an animation company for a few years, which, basically I was an office manager for that company. So I wasn't doing a lot of creative stuff. And I had made a horror movie called The Campus, which didn't do so well. And I didn't really know what to do. And, I was kind of... decided I was going to do these low budget documentary things. And at the same time, I had a friend for years that was saying with all the movies I've made, I should do YouTube. I should talk about the business and distribution of filmmaking and whatnot. And I was like, yeah, maybe. So I just decided to try it. And I found I had an affinity for it and I liked doing it. And I really liked the feedback I got from it. And what's the coolest thing now is, I'm sitting here almost, I think I started it towards the end of 2018, something like that, almost 6 years ago. And there are filmmakers that, you know, have watched my thing, you know, including you guys that have, you know, been inspired and done your own stuff. You know, there's cats like Devin Bray was watching my channel, started putting his stuff out through ND Rights. You know, you know, those guys are having $100,000 quarters now. You know, you know, Chase Dudley just did his first day on a crowdfunder and raised $50,000. And, you know, while I'm not directly responsible for that, you know, in some way, you know, it was inspired by me, you know, and that's great.
Absolutely, man. And that's a treasure for people who don't understand all that goes into making movies, and the business side especially. You know, what do you do? Everybody wants to go and make something and have fun making it, and you know, if they've got some skill sets or whatever, but to literally do something after that, that's the tricky part. And I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
You know? If it wasn't for Jay Horton, I wouldn't have had any idea where to start. So yeah, it's and you know, things change so fast, and it's changed so much in the last 6 years. You know, it's one of the reasons I don't do it as much anymore. Is, you know, to be 100% honest, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the general feeling I get from a lot of people in podcasts right now. Is like it's so chaotic.
Yeah. Steve, you said you had a question about that too. What was that question?
Yeah, your answer may end up being, well, I'm not doing a podcast. That is, I don't want to answer that. But what do you kind of see the next, say, year going as far as like distribution model and just because we've seen kind of that Tubi model pop up where there's just thousands of films seemingly every day, and the quality is, you know, tertiary to the final watcher. What do you think it's going to look like?
You know, I'm not 100%. I do think we're at a crossroads. I think there was a huge, you know, like streaming, like Tubi boom. You know, I call it like Tubi and Amazon boom. You know, Amazon, you know, like fell off and then kind of came back with TVOD, and then Tubi kind of took over. And people for, you know, between like 2018 and till about 6 months ago, you know, like the revenue is incredible. And there still are people, every time I say this, somebody always, you know, jumps in, well, my movie still made this much money last month, blah, blah, blah. And there are, don't get me wrong, there are people still doing well. And there's a particular type of movie that in general is doing really well on Tubi. You know, like the kind of the street focused, you know, black movies
Urban
are
black
still
stuff.
doing, I hate using the word urban, but yes, they're doing very well in general. But even when you talk to those cats that, you know, are doing those, you know, 100,000 months and whatnot, they're not making as much as they were 3 years ago.
Right.
Like they're still doing good, but not as much. And there's less of them making those big dollars. You know, I you know, work with, you know, different distributors and sales agents, so I see numbers all the time. And, you know, where, you know, 5 years ago, you would see out of a group of about 2,000 films, you would see like a dozen to 20, you know, films that were making six figures or over a quarter. And by films here, guys, I'm talking about low budget stuff, you know, 500 grand under, 200 grand under.
Do you think that was the majors getting so into the Tubi business? I noticed that was similar. I mean, that was like a year, maybe 18 months ago, where I was noticing like everything on HBO was suddenly on there, and was that kind of the beginning of the end of the...
There's also that, you know, like they've got those other bigger platforms now. They're doing like AVOD stuff.
There's a bunch of factors, I think. And what I was saying though, with their, you know, 5 years ago you had 20 titles making, you know, six figures plus. Today you'll have like half a dozen. You know, out of that same sample size, you know, or less, you know, and then our just median numbers have changed. You know, I have about 90 films in my library, and I saw on Tubi alone, you know, a 50% drop in revenue between June and July, just like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, we're not talking about just a couple of films, you know, we're talking about 90 films, across different genres. We're talking docs, horror movies, like.
Was there some kind of contract change at that time, or was they just like, nope, we're not pushing indies this month?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you like why it happened the way it did so fast, other than the factors we kind of talked about. Oversaturation is a big one. So when I say we're at a crossroads in distribution, so about 5 years ago, when streaming distribution really opened up, like, you know, Film Hub came along, Prime Video Direct, all these avenues where regular folk could just shoot their movie and get it distributed with almost no gatekeeping. But, you know, what that's done is, you know, on one hand, it's really cool, man. We, you know, gatekeeping's gone. We've opened it up for people that otherwise couldn't do it. The other problem is everybody's doing it, so we've been oversaturated. What I think is going to happen, and this is just my opinion, I don't have any, you know, data to back this up, but I think that we're going to go back to the gatekeeping. Like, I think it is. I think places, like, they haven't done it yet. I haven't heard them say anything about it yet, but I think places like Film Hub, they're going to have to be more selective.
Right.
Like, because if they continue just to let everybody in, eventually all these platforms are going to stop taking their material. You know, like they'll start looking at them as this provider who's giving them dog shit. Right. You know. So, like, I in my opinion, that's where the change is going to come, and I think we're going to almost go back to like the old days where, you know, you had to get a distributor, and the distributors were more selective, and you can't go direct. Like, so,
I'm sure there'll be another Film Hub coming up right behind it.
Yeah.
They'll then go, well, this is the new dog shit one that was coming out.
Totally, and I'm honestly surprised that there hasn't been another company like Film Hub that's come up. I'm sure some have tried, but I haven't heard anybody that's got like any kind of, you know, toehold. And Film Hub themselves are changing. You know, like they want to be known more as a premier distributor. So, you know, I just mentioned this on my live stream, but I'll say it here. It's just kind of, I just started talking about this. Film Hub is distributing A Hard Place for me. So, and it's not a typical deal. Like Film Hub's usual deals, 80-20, you know, there's no sales fees, there's no nothing, everything's free. They, you know, you upload it to them, you know, and then you can pay them different amounts to maybe select the date and this and that. Anyway, no MGs or nothing like that. I'm going with a traditional distribution deal with them. So they've given me a minimum guarantee. So I get so much money up front, a good amount. And then my sales split is 70-30 as opposed to 80-20 because they have some skin in the game. And then they're going to, you know, which I've talked about in depth with their marketing guy, they're going to put about 10,000 to P&A, prints and advertising. So, and then and we'll select our start date, you know, our specific, you know, drop date when it comes out.
I could see that really becoming
That's fucking cool.
Phase in, phase out process too. Like the 70-30 becomes the regular event.
Totally. And this doesn't mean that they're like, you know, abandoning the free model. They're just opening up this to other people. You know, and as far as I know, there's only been like maybe half a dozen filmmakers that have got this deal. You know, so it's still like fairly new. Yeah. And then they're also offering a lot of their services a la carte now. So, you know, like they just hired this major marketing guy that's been with a lot of like, you know, major distributors and studios. So like they're now saying, hey, you know, they might not offer you that distribution deal, but they'll say, hey, if you want to take advantage of our marketing guy, $5,000, here's what he'll do for that, you know, or whatever it is.
Okay.
Whereas like with mine is kind of a test case, like, because they know I talk about them a lot. So it's kind of like, you know, let's do this. Yeah, let's go traditional. Let's give him all the bells and whistles so that, you know, I can talk about all of them, you know, as it affects my movie, you know?
Okay. So they reached out to you with this. And that's the shit. So that means, Jay, that the work you've done and all the films that you've made and your process of using Film Hub has proven to them that you produce. So that's a good bet for them. Yeah. And that's the kind of mentality I'm trying to get across to a lot of filmmakers to understand that one big hit is probably going to be very, very few and far between, if ever.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That you just keep making stuff and you keep working at it. And once you get enough of a catalog, I mean, you just said, what, you had 80, 90 in your catalog? That's a lot of fucking content, dude. That's a lot of movies. And that's what happens though. Then something like this falls in your lap, and that's a great deal. Like Film Hub's great. I absolutely love their free model. I have no problem.
Yeah, no,
with
I
it.
do too. I do too.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was considering the free model, for a hard place before this offer came along. I mean, I wasn't 100% on it, but like a hard place is in a weird position, like in my filmography, like, it's a little bit bigger budget than what I'm typically doing. It's a little like bigger in scope, a little higher quality. It's honestly a little better. But it's still not, this is still not a studio film. This is still not, this is still very low budget, So it's not quite like, like I said, studio level, but it's not necessarily where I usually work either. So it's like you have to kind of step out of your comfort zone and try new things. So, I had predominantly been doing, streaming distribution, but like on this one, I'm messing around with theatrical, which I've never done. And I'm just doing it because, like streaming revenue, it can be great, but it could also be really bad. And truth of the matter is until it's into the marketplace, you don't know. Like, I think A Hard Place is very marketable. It turned out well. I have a feeling, my educated guess is that it'll do very well in streaming, but I don't know that for certain. It might not, So, I had this dude, Peter Higuchi, contacted me on Facebook. He had a horror movie called The Occult last year, and he wanted to do theatrical. So he found this Midwest chain called Imagine, and, just kept cold calling them, hustling them, eventually got them to agree to premiere his movie in, I forget how many states, like 5 or 6 states. They would have a premiere, the movie would play there, and then it would play for 2 weeks afterwards. And then if it does well, it opens up into more theaters. So he did a fairly successful theater run with his movie, and then started booking movies for other filmmakers for them. So, like they're right now, he's doing a run with Hundreds of Beavers, that film festival hit that's been doing killer business on Film Hub, and they're cleaning up theatrically right now, even though they're already out and streaming.
Wow.
Okay. So we're gonna try that, and then there's we do our premiere in Dayton next week, and then we have another screening in Reno a few days after. And then one in, I think, Indiana, in Noblesville, Indiana. It's like after that. And then there'll be like 4 more. And then depending on how many tickets we sell at those events, it'll either widen out more or, go away.
Okay. All right.
And you just don't know, It's all a question mark.
So that was something I was trying to tell Sam and Steve that I heard you talk about. Most of us, when we've done a theater showing, most indie filmmakers, you rent a theater, you try to go through Eventbrite, sell some tickets, whatnot, get people in the seats, sell some merch while you're there, have a Q&A, and do your thing. This is a partnership you're talking about with
the traditional model.
It's more of a, so basically the way it works is with most of the theaters, you do a rev split directly with the theater. So it's usually 50-50. And then the filmmaker gets all of the merch, they get all the concessions.
Okay.
So it, and you're talking a lot of these theaters, there's 75, 100 seat theaters. You're not talking huge numbers here in screenings. Like you'd be lucky to do 500 a theater.
But you'd be road showing with it.
Generally. So, and then you're hoping to sell some merch on top of it. But again, like, even though you're not paying for the theater rental, like if you do a premiere to make those things work, you have to go to the premiere, you have to do the Q&A. So you're talking travel, you're talking lodging, you're talking merch costs. And, like that's all expensive. I mean, it costs me about $1,000, per screening, now hopefully, we'll break even or make, money just on the ticket sales, and then on the merch, hopefully we'll make that more worth it financially.
Right.
And then hopefully the thought process anyway is that, the momentum you have from a theatrical run will help push your streaming run as well.
Right.
And then the other, and again, it's all, I'm usually not somebody, I'm a little risk averse, and I've usually been a lot more pragmatic. Hey, I'm going to go to streaming, I'm going to go straight there, this isn't going to cost me nothing, and then just going to be make money from it,
Right, exactly.
But I've repeated that model over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm at a point now where like I'm starting to see ceilings on what I can make with that, or how far that'll take the movies. So I want to try this. And then on top of the theatrical, there's another of Peter's ideas. There's a drive-in convention in Florida at the end of January that I'm going to, and I'm going to be pitching my movie to drive-in theater owners.
You happen to know that? Oh, okay. So you'd be pitching it to the owners directly.
Exactly. So it's
all people can go to. But
I mean, people can go, but it's not cheap.
Yeah.
It's like the actual, just to go to the convention, I think it's like $600 or something like that.
It's more of a trade thing.
Yeah, it's a trade show, and then if you want to be a vendor there, you have to pay for a vendor table. So like I'm definitely like investing in my movie more than I've ever done before.
Okay.
So I'm putting the thousands into marketing to travel with the movie. I'm putting thousands to go to this convention, which may or may not pay off. But those are kind of the things you have to do if you want to move to the next level. And I feel like with A Hard Place, creatively I leveled up, so I need to step up the business side of it too.
And you got those socks now, bro.
Yeah, and I got the socks. Yeah,
you got the fucking socks, yo. Those are badass.
Yeah,
I loved them. That's like when we did the around the wheel underwear. Remember that? No one bought them. Think hard. No one bought them.
You bought them, didn't you, Aaron?
No, I didn't.
No.
Okay.
He bought the T-shirt with his own face on it.
I did. Yeah, it was great. It was great. No, that's fun,
great.
Jay. No, I'm proud of you doing that, man. That's the fun stuff. See, he's ahead of us, and that's cool. He's doing shit, and then we can watch what he does and be like, okay,
and if it does work out, great. If it doesn't, it'll save you a bunch of money.
But as you were saying though, if this is where if backwards, oddly enough, is where we're going, kind of like with AVOD and TVOD and all that. If we're going backwards, then you really are ahead of where it probably is, and at the very least, you're having conversations with people that power will probably rest with him.
Yeah, I mean, like Peter's whole take on it is Peter Higuchi, who he pitched the theatrical run to me. He's like basically after COVID or during COVID, U.S. production as far as like studio movie stuff that's in the theater is like way down.
Mm-hmm.
There's theaters, so we have tons of theaters all across the country, and there's literally not enough stuff to play in them.
Right.
So there is, if you can convince them to play the smaller movies, there is opportunity. It's just like that's what makes it difficult. A lot of them, like, they're very hesitant right up front. I mean, according to Peter, he had trouble initially, getting them to book Hundreds of Beavers, which is cleaning up theatrically. Like, they're making money hand over fist, and it wasn't a slam dunk as far as get right in.
And see, that's crazy to me because he's got data to back his film. Where someone like, if we made something and go to theater, I can understand why they'd be like, get the fuck out of here. We're not playing your shit. I mean, who gives a fuck? Rent the theater. But that's what's really cool about what you're doing, because for somehow, some way, your partner is making this happen for you based off of the same type of things he's done, right? Is that what
yeah, totally. And I think we're Facebook friends. That's how I know him. And I think he, initially he came to me, and I think he just made the pitch based on my YouTube channel, based on, seeing how I hustle, and this guy understands like how to, because the one thing about the theatrical things, like, you really do have to hustle them. Like, because like it's all based on how many tickets you can sell, and if you can't sell many tickets to that first screening, you're not going to have another one.
Right.
And you're definitely not going to spread out into I think they have 35 theaters in their network. And the other thing about the whole independent theater like industry is it's very incestuous. They share all their data, like there's an actual report even for the independent theaters with these small
very
movies.
Old mafia with those
and they know what movies are selling what, and what I mean. So it could definitely open up if it does well.
Right.
So, but it can also it could be a lost leader. But at the same time, the other benefit to all of it is like you're creating like the thing about indie film and like success in indie film, a lot of it's perception, you know. And if you have a project that is perceived to be successful, it kind of is.
I love that you said that too.
It kind of is,
because you know, your next project at least.
Yeah, because here's the thing, you know, I did Craving, and Craving got a lot of press. It got, you know, like I marketed the hell out of it. That like it has this perception of being this like indie hit, right?
Yeah.
And I had people, you know, putting big amounts of money into Hard Place, you know, because look at that movie. And I'm not saying it didn't do well, but it was not a hit. You know?
I get it.
But the perception is that it was, you know, like people would think it made more than it did.
Yeah. It's funny. It's really funny that you say that, Jay. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I realize that more and more when I'm watching certain other filmmakers out there, you know, online. And they're pushing their, you know, their brand and their project or whatever, and that's what you're supposed to do, right? But you can tell
what you have to do.
Yeah, you have to do it, right? And I don't know if we get that stigma, but I've had a few people tell us, you know, I've had people reach out, want to be on a podcast, and they've pitched us being, you know, hey, they have these indie, you know, these trending indie films on YouTube, and they're really kicking ass, and I'm like, nothing is fucking trending. What are you talking about? But they think that, right? So I see other filmmakers that are doing this, and there's so many ways you can there's so many fucking ways you can trick the numbers online. That's the tricky stuff, you know what I mean?
Or
so
like the most popular on Tubi, like,
yes, exactly. That kind of stuff. Or, you know, if they're pushing all these views on fucking, you know, I've tried it. I'll stay straight up. So we took one of our films and we boosted it on the YouTube thing with Google ads, you know, just to see what would happen to get more people coming in. I think we put $100 into it. We got more views, right? So it boosted the view count on the specific video, but nobody really watched it. You can see that we didn't retain anybody. Everybody clicked on it, right? But it makes it look like it's got a lot of views.
But at least here's the thing, what you were paying for.
But here's the thing. This is what hurts. So, you know, you got that is it RPM on YouTube, Jay?
RPM and CPM.
Yes. So, you know, you're sometimes certain videos will be like $8, some will be $12, some will be $5 or $3, whatever it is that you get. So this specific video had about a $7 RPM. After we did the boost, it dropped down to $2.
Oh yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
So it hurts you. It hurts you in the long run because it's not organic. It's not real.
Yeah. Well, and also even if it wasn't dropping your CPM or your RPM, it's still showing it to people that's not necessarily in your target audience.
Yes.
And it's the same thing when people try to do like sub for subs or crap like that. It's the most worthless type of reciprocal support that there is. It does not help.
It does actually not help.
I tried to, because somebody was going on and then got mad at me because I didn't want to do it. And I was like, dude, it hurts. It will hurt you. I will never watch your channel, dude. I'll never watch it. I'll give you your subscribe number and I will never watch it. YouTube will see that I never watch it and they will show it to less people like me.
Exactly.
Like, it's gonna hurt you. But yeah.
And I see these people that are doing these things, Jay, and you know, but they found a way to utilize it by going online and have this big look at, we've got 1 million views on this. And it's pretty obviously that they probably paid for it and boosted it to get those views. But it brings in those people like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then they hope to get them on board to train by using that, which is fine.
Jay had said it could work with the purely psychological concept of
yes.
Yeah, no, totally.
It's
just like you know, like when you're doing crowdfunding, we were just talking about, you know, Chase Dudley earlier, who had an incredible first day on his
fucking killed it.
Movie The Desperate. Yeah. But you know, people want to be involved with things that are successful or that look like they're going to be successful or they know they're going to get made. I think the problem, like most filmmakers where they trip up on whether it be crowdfunding or even traditional fundraising, is they take this like underdog mentality and like people want to support the little guy, we want to help the underdog. Most people do not. They will say they will, but they don't.
They want to be part of the perceived success train.
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I love people so much.
Yeah.
Oh man. What was I going to ask you? There was something. Sam, do you got anything? I'm thinking. I had a question for Jay, and I just fucking lost it.
Well, he's talking about all the stuff that you said you wanted to ask him about.
Yeah, I know. He did.
New
got
Year's
it.
resolutions.
I got it because we got a good portion of the show left to go here. So this is good. I want to put Jay in a position where he's not just super comfortable about talking all the things he talks about. Because anytime you talk with Jay Horton, you want to know like what we've been asking about, the distribution, the business side of things. I don't think I've ever heard Jay talk about why he made a movie. Like literally, why did he make this movie? What inspired him to make this movie? What excited him about his new movie? And I want to see him light up when he talks about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think I've ever seen you fucking do that.
Yeah. I spent so long talking about the pragmatic nature and business of of filmmaking, and it's my persona, and so I'm I'm not very self-aggrandizing, and I'm a little
Humble.
Yeah, well, that's
the word.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a nice way to put it. It makes it difficult for me sometimes to
I know that.
creatively
That's why I
talk
wanted
about
to do
my
this.
work. But yeah, so A Hard Place is like it's everything that I liked as a kid. Like it is a communal experience movie. I keep talking about the theatrical experience, but it's absolutely a movie to be seen in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
What really excited me about it early on was I like monster movies, and I like the idea of like two different like families of monsters with a conflict, and then you put people in the middle of it, that have no skin in the game one way or the other, and they're just stuck in their war.
Right.
And I like that a lot, and I like the scope of A Hard Place. I've talked about a few times. It's much bigger than anything I've ever done. There's it's a huge cast. There's a lot of monsters. There's a lot of action. It's a big 50-acre location that we're shooting on. Fun. We did a night at a drive-in. We shot at this really cool open drive-in theater. Cool. But yeah, like that, and I like especially having done so many documentaries now, there's a thing about creating a thing from the blank page all the way to production it's different. I'm not saying it's better, but it's just different, and I really missed it, because I predominantly did documentaries for the last 6 years. Craving, it was almost 3 years ago now.
I know, it goes by fast.
Did Craving really reignite that?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I talked about a movie called The Campus that was a bad experience for me, and I pretty much decided I was never going to make narratives again. And then, but a few years into the docs, I still like doing them, but I was starting to I kind of miss it, and I had this old script, so I decided to do Craving. And then through the process of doing it, it was the best time I'd ever had on set. I liked working with the actors a lot. And really, I directed a lot of movies, but it was it was Craving, where it clicked with me how to deal with actors in a different kind of way, And I feel much better at that than I was 10 years ago, when I was making most of my movies.
Right. Right. I got
you. But
yeah.
Hard Place is just it's exciting, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting it out to the audience.
I can't wait to see it too, brother. Yeah. I can't wait. So is this one an older script too, or is this a newly written one? It
is an older script. It is an older script. I wrote the original. I don't know, probably 2005 or 6, something like that. Yeah, okay. It's fairly old. Okay. It really didn't need a lot of updating. I did a little bit. I had Michael Epstein that worked with me on Craving.
I love Epstein.
He did a pass on the script.
Very cool.
And, yeah. He actually, one of our major sequences is this dinner sequence that's kind of it's a little bit like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre dinner.
Nice. Yeah.
But with a lot more people and monsters. Right. And anyway, that was his idea.
That's awesome, buddy. I love that guy. He's a cool dude too.
Yeah.
He's funny.
He's really creative.
Yes, he is.
Some of the better jokes are his.
Nice. Okay. All right. So how long is your theater run going to go for this? And when do you expect it to hit the platforms for everybody to see?
So we start the theater run next week on the 12th of January. Right now we have stuff booked through March. And it really just depends on how many tickets it sells, whether it expands or contracts. Right now our streaming date is set for, I think it's May 4th, something like that.
Right. So it actually has a bit of a window.
Yeah.
Cool.
But if we book, like if the drive-in convention thing goes well and we do book like drive-ins through summer, we could potentially push it back further.
Okay.
But right now it's like, it looks like May.
I love it.
Not to get pedantic about it, but what cities do you know at the moment? What cities people should be looking out for it on, or what websites?
The first 4 I know of.
Okay.
Right now I've only been announcing the first 3 because the fourth one's pretty close to one of the other ones, and I want to wait till that one's finished before I announce it.
Okay.
And then, but like those 4, it's right now it's set for 6 states, 5 theaters, 2-week runs in each. 3 of the theaters are still up in the air which ones they're going to be, but
Do you happen to know what states they're in?
Indiana, Ohio, Nevada, Florida, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Illinois, I think.
All right. So if you're in those states, check it out, man.
Yeah, and then the drive-in is more nationwide, like that'll be all over, you know. Cool. And like I said, if it sells a lot of tickets, it can expand more, like past the chain that we're starting in.
Him saying those states got me back on that topic that we were talking about yesterday in our little group chat. And it's, you know, I'm manifesting good things here, so I'm not trying to bring up like negative shit, but I'm going to bring up negative shit again. So here, just real quick. So
a little bit of tea for your day.
Well, no, because I've seen the work ethic that like Jay has, or Chase Dudley, you know, and Abelberry. These guys work, you know, hard to reach people and to get their films out there and get the backing they need to fund these things. And I was thinking, gosh, you know, I love what all these guys are doing. You know, this is how I feel up here in the Pacific Northwest, right? Up in the corner of the country on the West Coast. And we tried to do the same thing for our crowdfunder. You know, we've got a community that we've built up here, and we've got a lot of people that know what we're doing up in this little corner, right? And we get more and more, you know, gradually we grow, so it's fine. But we keep doing it, you know, we do our thing. We keep
just more gradually than we'd like.
Yes, but so then when it's our time to go, okay, we're going to do this crowdfunder. Now, I made some mistakes early on. I didn't do it early enough. I should have been reaching out, you know, maybe a few months earlier before we reacted to this crowdfunder. Maybe we shouldn't have started filming the movie when we were doing the crowdfunder. These kind of things, right? However, you know, those are things I'm learning. But I couldn't help but just go, man, what is it with this community on this side of the country compared to those other states over there where these guys are? It seems to me that community where you guys are at, Jay, in the Midwest, eastern side of the country, it seems to be more pro indie film. I swear to God. Or do you see it as a whole? Like you're getting people from all over that actually supporting you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know the numbers.
The counterpoint I was making yesterday to see which one of us was right.
Yeah.
I was saying that maybe you're seeing the top dogs that actually reached out of their areas, and there are lots of filmmakers like us that are in that area that are struggling harder, that just haven't reached quite enough momentum. Go ahead.
Yeah. So instead of me saying like the West Coast is a bunch of cheap fucks, basically is what you're saying, right?
And I was defending them. You're welcome.
Right. No, Jay, what do you think? Where are we at?
Well, so I can really just speak from my perspective, but I don't think, at least for me, indie film has never been a regional thing. You know, so like when I made my first one, I was in Louisiana, but it was totally, you know, just, you know, we didn't have a community helping us. We just, you know, it was just me and a couple of friends, you know, and then I moved to LA, and I was in LA for 15 years making most of my other movies. And again, you know, I was West Coast, but I wasn't I could have been making them anywhere,
Gotcha.
and then now I live in Georgia, but I've never been to a Georgia film event. I don't matriculate in the community. I don't network out here. I've never made a Georgia. I've never shot a movie since I've lived in Georgia.
I was gonna say, did you shoot both Craving and
yeah.
the LA? Or
Craving was done all in LA, and A Hard Place was mostly Ohio, and then a little bit in LA. But
Okay.
yeah, I didn't shoot here at all. So for me anyway, I see everything more. It's like nationwide.
Okay.
Like my audience and supporters are nationwide. And always kind of have been, and that's how I look at it. So like if I'm crowdfunding or whatever, I'm not targeting regions or cities. I just, I'm just promoting the thing.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
And I think maybe, and again, I might be putting words in your mouth, but I think maybe because you are, you're regional based and you have a fairly good amount of support within your community. So you may misread that as, wider support or don't know how to, reconcile the two.
Yeah, I misread a lot of things, Jake. So I'm sure I'm wrong, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's absolutely, local support is great, but as far as
it's more about your breadth of coverage.
Yeah,
really.
I haven't seen his analytics, but I would assume Chase with his 50 grand day, that's got to be all over the country. I bet you there's no single concentration.
Yeah. And see, I'm so stupid. I sit there and I look at it, I'm like, when we did ours, we got 183 backers, and that was fucking great. I was like, that's a good amount of backers. And then I looked at our number, we got 10 grand. I'm like, how the fuck did he get 40 with 35 backers? You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck has that much money? That's crazy stuff.
Well, in that case too, and I haven't spoken to him about this directly. I'm just assuming based on my experience and seeing how other campaigns work. I would assume that 20 to 30 of that was basically what amount to equity investors are putting directly into the crowdfunder, major amounts.
Gotcha,
and that is not a, some people say, well, that's a cheat. That's
just accumulating large
that's
still the work.
That's exactly how you do it. That's how you hustle it. I did the same thing on A Hard Place. I just didn't do quite as much on the front end.
Right. And that makes sense. See?
Yeah.
All right, Steve, you're right. So I don't give a shit. Whatever.
It happens every once in a while. Please tell my wife.
No,
but again, that's just my opinion.
No, and you're probably right, and that makes sense. Yeah. But I always want to make sure that people understand that there was still work to be done to get that kind of numbers on day one.
Yeah.
He definitely
and the thing I do know about Chase individually, just from past work. Yeah. He is 100% a hustler, and from the launch date until 6 months from now, he's still gonna be hitting people up directly, for contributions.
Yeah, he don't fuck around. He really doesn't.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
The people you were mentioning, like Jay and the people that we know who are successful with that. Yeah, the work ethic that they have is just amazing. I thank God for Aaron. He does everything that we're talking about right now, and I tend to be like, if you need a piece of artwork or something, let me know. The amount of work that it takes, I think you have to enjoy that on some level, or just go, even if I don't enjoy it, I'm still gonna do it.
I do love it. I love it. I think it's fun, but it's that business thing. I mean, years of being in the corporate world and selling shit. I mean, it's basically the same thing. I'm just selling something I really want to sell.
Yeah.
That's all.
No,
it is.
I've definitely grown to like it, and there's an art to marketing. And it's when you're on social media trying to push something, and just figuring out how people respond to different things, and this certain post has got this kind of reaction and this got that, and then when it's your art on top of that and you're seeing people react positively to your art, it's a whole different thing,
It really is.
you know, I get the double thing from having done the YouTube thing. So I get a lot of, you know, even on regular movie posts, you know, I'll get, you know, comments about my YouTube channel, or, you know, how much I'd help this person or that person. So like that makes it like, so I like it. It is stressful though, man. So, you know, talking about crowdfunding, that first weekend is freaking intense.
Rough. Yeah.
It's intense,
it's exciting. Your endorphins are going. Sam, dopamine. You're just jacked the fuck up when you're doing that. And I can only imagine how like Chase was feeling on his day one. Like,
dude,
you know, that energy you got. You're just.
I think he was up to what, 40-45 grand in 10 hours.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's super crazy because I was excited when we hit 100 backers on day one, and I can't remember what the dollar amount was, but I was like, "Holy shit, we did it!" You know what I mean?
We hit our goal.
Cool.
I know that much. Like, didn't we hit 5? And I was like,
"Yeah."
I was doing very little, you know, except for like all the setup with him for it, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" You know, it was.
It gets you going, dude. It does. Yeah. And so I get addicted to that stuff. So it's kind of fun to me. It's like playing a video game. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. Although, you know, it has its doldrums too. You know, even on a campaign that's killing, you know, I'll guarantee he's gonna have some days coming up here in the second week where it's like plateaued for a couple of days, and it's gonna feel like the world's against you.
And then you got to pump.
Even though you just raised $100 grand or whatever it is. Like, I mean, that's how I felt. I
know.
You know, a hard place in the 30-day campaign, it raised $85,000. You know, and it sounds, everybody's like, oh, it's great. I was despondent. Like, I was despondent. It wasn't nearly enough. Like, and I was upset. You know, I mean, I wasn't angry, but I was
a little disappointed.
I was.
You had your expectations higher.
Disappointed, but
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, luckily, you know, I was able to hustle another 6 months and get it up to 130. But I mean, I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna make this movie.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, there was a version I could make, but you know, it wasn't what I wanted to make. I can tell you
understand.
Sure.
We understand that completely. That's what we do. We make versions of our stories all the time.
Yeah.
And it's fun, and I enjoy that still. And in a weird way, it still is satisfying to me because I'm super proud of what we did with, you know, hardly anything, if that makes sense. And I know everybody should feel that way. I don't push it like you said. You know, obviously this is still a low budget movie. This isn't a Hollywood thing. You know, please don't compare it to that. If you guys do that, you're fucking idiots. That kind of, you know. But I still enjoy that process. And when you watch something and you're like, see it and know what you wish you would have had. And then as opposed to what you did have.
Well, and it's never
you can
really
find the joy in
if
it still.
If you have an imagination, as most people in film do,
yeah,
I mean, it's never quite going to be enough. You know, the whole, you know, films are never stopped; they're abandoned.
Yeah.
You know? At the end of the day, I mean, you're like, please meet my goals, but you know, your goals would be 50 times bigger if you were like, I do everything I want to do.
Absolutely.
Totally.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, they even said that with what Sean Vivaro was talking about that when he was making like Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, there wasn't enough money. There wasn't enough, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
And then, you know, for me, I always compound that problem is like even back in the day, like I tend to shoot bigger things. You know, like a little larger in scope, and like that's always kind of been my MO. Like, so like I'm always trying to do something bigger than the money that I have, you know, almost always. Like, it's really hard for me to be smart, like, you know, with a budget and a story.
Good for you.
I mean,
Jay.
Like one actor stuck in the trunk of a car trying to get out, that kind of thing. You know?
I just have no interest in that anymore.
Me neither.
You know, I mean, I like watching a well-made movie that's like, you know, low key, and I as a fan, but as a filmmaker,
you got to do something.
At least
even then, though, I bet you it's the risk of being able to pull off. You're doing something small really, really well. Like, there's got to be a challenge in it.
Yeah, there's part of that. Like you know, back in the day, I directed a couple of features in one day. You know, those one-day features, and that's about 90% why I did those. You know, just for the challenge.
Just to see if you can do it, man.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fun.
And you know, I'm getting ready, just, you know, releasing A Hard Place. I'm getting ready to start funding for the next movie, and it's about 3 times as big as A Hard Place. You know,
you cannot fucking wait, Jay.
That's awesome. I know.
Go big or go home.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Damn right.
I like, and you know, I talked about taking the risk on a hard place with the extra marketing and the drive-in thing and the theatrical run, and I'm out of pocket for most of that, but again, regardless of whether it actually is financially successful with that, the perception is going to push and feed into that next movie, very strongly, because like I'll probably do a crowdfunder for this in like April or May, and it'll be on the eve of all of that going down.
Right. Can you say anything about it yet beyond? And I'm gonna say what I'm aware of that I think is that it is going to be another monster movie, and it's kind of the third of a trilogy. Am I correct?
Yeah. So when I say it's the third in a trilogy, it's a spiritual trilogy. Like I consider Craving a hard place, and the next movie is called Apex Predators Club, and they're all monster movies. They all involve like criminal protagonists, and each one is progressively bigger. Like, Craving was the biggest movie I'd made up to that point. Hard Place was bigger than that. This is bigger than a Hard Place. So it's like each one kind of building on what came before, but they're not directly connected. There's a couple of Easter eggs.
I love that name, man. That's
great. Thank you. Yeah.
Predator Club. That's great.
Yeah. I thought it had a Monster Squad kind of vibe to it.
Yeah,
so,
it's no joke. No joke.
I have some great art for it. Like I'm so like I was going to start fundraising for this year, but I decided to wait because I had one of the mistakes I think I made with the release of Craving was, Craving came out in February of 23, and the very month it came out was the month that I did crowdfunding for a Hard Place.
But that probably, like you were saying, that feeling of success.
It's hard to do both, though, right? It'd be hard to promote your movie.
The problem was I didn't give it any breathing room.
Yeah.
So like
you didn't start raising the kid before you actually started trying to.
Exactly. Well, and
he started fucking again.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Hard Place campaign went great, but I feel like I shortchanged the initial release of Craving, because while I was promoting it, I wasn't promoting it as much as I probably would have if I wasn't running a 24-hour-a-day crowdfunder.
Makes sense.
So like with this one, I definitely wanted to have that room. So like I either want it to be, at the tail end of the theatrical release or right before the streaming release, like somewhere in that window. I just don't want it at the same time. Yeah.
Makes sense, man. Makes sense.
But yeah. It's basically, that movie is a Apex Predators Club. It's kind of a Most Dangerous Game kind of scenario, but instead of like rich folk hunting poor people, they're hunting monsters.
Oh, fun.
And different species of monsters.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
dude, that's dope.
Is Robert Bravo working on it again?
Yes, most likely.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
And it's like, it'll be different species of monsters. There'll be a couple of classics, and then some kind of off the beaten path monsters.
That's great.
Yeah,
that
and it's taking place on an island. I think we're gonna shoot in Puerto Rico. I'm still kind of feeling that out.
Yeah, that's our guy's place.
I was gonna say we got a guy there right now.
Yeah, we do.
Awesome.
We do. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, they do like a 40% tax credit there, but I guess it's pretty competitive to get it though. There's somebody told me they had a 38 million cap yearly. So if you get enough, so if you get enough big shows, that goes pretty quick. So, But I'll see. I'm still gonna apply.
Right on, man. Sam, did you have a question earlier? I saw you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just going to make a point, but it might be too late for that point.
No, make your point.
Do it.
I was just going to say about indie filmmaking and how you have to be constantly stepping up your game, because otherwise you lose momentum, not just with your own like filmmaking abilities, but also with your audience, and you're not going to keep them. Yeah, if you're not stepping up your game every time, you're not going to keep people. They're going to start dropping off. So that's definitely that momentum thing that you always consistently do, Jay. I think is like really why you're so successful now. Is because you're always stepping that game up. Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely trying. Like I think for a number of years, I think I did coast a little bit before I even met you guys or you're aware of me. I was I don't think I was growing that much, and then I feel like with like these 3 movies, kind of it's like a whole different. In some ways, they almost feel like my first 3.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
like, you're a new Jay Horton doing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have no idea where I want to go from here. I have other scripts and stuff, but I really need to figure out what I want to do next.
We can't wait to see it.
Yeah. And I might do something smaller scale after A Hard Place, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I have this kind of misery type script about a middle-aged lawyer that he loses everything, his wife, his job. He goes back and stays with his mom for a couple of months, and his mom, yeah. Well, the mother had slowly gone crazy after the dad had died, and basically won't let him leave. You have that thing with mothers and sons. You go home to visit your mom, they don't want you to leave.
Yeah.
But then actually horror movie physicalize that.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking great.
Yeah, but it's small scale. It's 3 characters, a house, and a winter.
I'm sure though there will be something that challenges you.
Oh yeah.
Getting more into the
totally. I mean, it's a little more suspenseful. It's definitely a quieter, more nuanced in performances. There's definitely stuff to be fun to be had making it.
Right.
Just not a literal larger scale.
Yeah, just not a literal or larger scale. But yeah, so that that's kind of in the back of my head, and then I have a few more different genres.
Cool. Nice.
I was Sam's point about momentum and up in the game. I'm guilty of not trying to do that over the last couple of years, where I'm trying to push out content as quickly as I can, where I know we are, just to get a catalog going. And this is where I love Steve and Sam. They help me with this because they'll accept what I want to do, but I can tell that they want to do more. Right. And especially on set.
It and make it 5 times.
Yeah, especially on set. If I'm working with these guys, they'll be the first ones to bring up something. I'm like, no, that's too much. Let's just do this, and then I'll just go shoot this thing, and it works, but it's still kind of the same thing that we've done. But it's safe, Jay. You know what I mean? It's just safe. It saves time. I know it'll still work.
Yeah.
But this year, I'm letting that go. And I've said this. I told Steve that. That's why our new script for the final movie in our fan film shit that I can't wait to get done with, just to try to build a YouTube channel. God damn it! But now we got stuck doing this. And I'm still excited. Going out big, and it'll test us to see if we can pull this stuff up. It's safe. It's we're not counting on any revenue from it. It's just going to be something that we can hopefully shine on and see if we can go out with a bang once and try some things we haven't tried before.
But you don't really accomplish big things playing it safe.
You're absolutely
you're right. I do agree with you. And
you're right.
As you guys were both just talking about this, I said thinking about my documentaries, and in a lot of ways, like the last 2 years, technically that's what I've done. I mean, I just play it safe. I play it safe, quick.
And it was working though.
And it's working. But what I we were talking about earlier, how I think the gatekeeping's changing, and the revenue is dropping, and and I said it's multiple genres, but truth of the matter is about probably 75% of my library is those low budget documentaries.
Sure.
So if you're seeing major drops, a lot of it might be specific to that content. And not just because they're documentaries, but I think because they are, I don't want to denigrate what I'm doing, but low effort documentaries.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I totally get it. And I think is it. It's not a bad change. If these platforms do decide, or these production companies, really start to get a little more picky about what they choose, and you have to up your game, that's going to weed out a lot of fucking people. Yeah, and it's going to help the filmmakers that are really working hard to try.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm ready to play. I don't give a fuck. Let's go.
It'll be really curious to see how it shakes out. Like right now, I just don't know. I mean, part of me, the way the movies have been growing is I'm kind of hoping I can make a full-time switch to narratives in the next year. Right. I mean, I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing docs, but not the way I'm doing them anymore. Like
I understand.
It's
maybe
totally
making a thing where eventually you'll have a rebirth with a documentary.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe if I just slowed down and just did a crap load less, I would feel differently about it.
Sure.
But when you have to do like 2 a month, it's it's a different.
Yeah, you just got to slam them out. I totally get it. Totally get it. It's something unique, and the way we've been doing our docs too. It is more of a we try to think cinematically, like when we're making them, like. And be a little more, I don't want to use stock footage. Like Sam said that right away. Let's not use stock. Let's film our shit, and that kind of makes you take a little more time.
And
absolutely. Put in a little more effort, and it's satisfying. I get just as much satisfaction now doing the docs than I do the narrative stuff.
That's great.
When I first started though, my idea, and I was trying to pitch that to when Chuck was with us too. Like what you were doing, I'm like, dude, we could slam these out like Jay Horton. You get a couple interviews, you get some stock footage, we go shoot a couple things, we're done. I can edit that shit in a week. Let's go.
It turns out though that it's much harder to actually do.
Yeah, it can be.
I think when we started really looking into it, like to make something of even half decent quality doing that is quite difficult.
It's difficult to do, and then you start realizing, well, maybe it's a movie, and we have to take our time with it, just like anything else. The shit you learn, bro. God damn.
Well, it's funny. You never really know what's going to work anyway. Sometimes the stuff you put less effort into makes bigger bucks than the stuff you put all your freaking everything into. So you just really never know in this world, and that especially with indie film, it's so hard to predict anything. So you just have to always be like willing to shift and change constantly with all the ebb and flow of the what's popular and what's going on, and like you brought up what's going on with Black movies currently and how they're just killing it.
You mean urban movies,
or whatever you want to call them? Everyone's loving them, everyone's really embracing them. So but you can't follow the trend, because as soon as you follow the trend, it's going to be over. So,
then no one likes urban people anymore.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Aaron, shut up.
We're tired of Black people. We don't need those movies. We're good. Oh man, I totally get it, Sam. No, you're right.
Sam quit first time of season 6.
No, and that that shit happened with the documentaries when we first started, because there was that run and Amazon was kicking ass, and I know Jay was, and then as soon as we got the GPO done, Amazon stopped taking documentaries. And I was like, oh, we missed the window. The window. Yeah, but it still did good on Tubi. It still did great on Tubi.
You can't hit the trends. They move too fast.
That's too fast, dude.
You have to really get lucky.
Yeah, it's a fool's errand to try to chase. To try to chase a popular genre.
No, it's not worth it. I just want to make what we're feeling.
Yeah, that's where I've landed. I mean, I tend to have fairly mainstreamy commercial tastes myself. So a lot of the stuff that I tend to do or like get excited about has commercial viability,
Sure.
Or at least I like to think it does. But we'll see. We shall see.
Totally the same way. Yep.
Well, think about like a cult classic. Like those movies did not do well.
No, they didn't.
In those days. And then
it's
20,
honestly,
30,
box office
40
is
years
such
later.
a big chunk of luck. It's box office is like, and it means nothing for quality. I say it all the time.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
No, Sam, I totally agree with you, because those cult movies are like, when they come back and hit, some people are ahead of their time, or no one knew it existed at the time, and then now they find it, and it's
20, 30, 40, 50 years later that all of a sudden, everyone's watching this movie. So
that's why I believe in the Outriders so much still to this day.
Oh my God. Because one of these days people are going to be really into black and white noir, like type, weird, really long, really weird movies.
Yeah, with no color grading, with no skill sets, with no gear. They'll love it. They'll absolutely love it. Yeah. All right, Jay. We won't hold you anymore, brother. What do you want to tell the audience out here before we end the show? You got anything you want to say?
No, just check out A Hard Place. It's going to be playing across the country. It'll be streaming right after that. It's really important when these things come out, get on IMDb and Letterboxd, and give them a rating, give it a review, fair review, and look out for Apex Predators Club when that thing happens.
Craving's still on Tubi.
Yeah, Craving's still on Tubi.
Craving's still on Tubi. Everybody needs to watch that too. That's a fun movie, man. Mm-hmm. All right, dude. As always, Jay, thank you for everything you do, everything you share.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a friend. Yeah, I hope, I don't try to bug Jay Horton because he's straight up about it. He's like, I don't do that shit anymore. I don't try to help people. I love it online. People ask him stuff sometimes. They're like, hey, can you give me some pointers? He's like, I don't fucking do that anymore. Fuck. It's great. It's great. I love it.
Just like that, too.
I know, it's awesome. I love it. It's so no joke. I want to comment so bad, but I'm like, nah, I'm not going to push it.
So people were bugging me, and I don't want to sound like
you're done.
Like a big time or nothing, but I would get hit up 20, 30 times, a day, like direct messages, like emails, and for a short period of time, I was doing consultations, and I'm sorry, filmmakers are a nightmare in general. Like
they can be.
They don't listen. And then you'll give them this and that piece of advice, and they'll take that advice, but then they like half-ass execute it.
Yep.
And they'll say, well, this didn't work. I tried this, and this, and it didn't work. And then you look at what they did, and you're like, well, that's not exactly what I said. I said, you just didn't execute.
Right.
But anyway, I just got tired. I had it got to be like just, and I'm an anxious person anyway, and I don't like the idea of feeling like people are unhappy with you or whatever. Right. So it just got to a point where I was like, man, I just can't do it. And we're talking like one person out of 20 that would be unhappy or aggressive, but it was enough to just like grind my gears to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Well, and that's when you're done, and that's okay. You put in your time, you did what you could, and you move on.
And I every now and then I think, oh, I'm gonna do it again, but it's like it is a lot of work. Like there was I was spending, I think I was doing like 3 new videos a week for a long time.
Yeah, you were.
Plus,
and that's what you're doing, your documentary every 2 weeks.
Yeah, plus the docs.
Yeah,
and then working on Craving, and yeah, it was just, I think Craving was was when I decided to stop. Like right when I moved into pre-production on Craving.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you. I know a lot of other people do. So yeah, it's fucking great. Jay, what you do is fabulous for everybody, and I love watching you continually succeed in what you're doing. I wish you the best.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel the same.
I know you do. That's why I love you. So thank you, bro. Steve, you want to try to close out the show again?
I will give it a shot.
Go for it, bro.
Thank you all for joining Around the Reel, podcast by CCC Entertainment Group, and we have the lovely Samantha Hanna and Aaron Carlson and the lovely Jay Horton on with us today. Just remember, everybody, wherever you go, there you are. And be nice to each other.
Love it. Dude, good job, bro. You did it, bro. See? It's weird not having Chuck, isn't it?
It really is.
You did great, man. You did great. All right, everybody. Jay, thank you again, my friend.
No problem.
All right. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.
For those of you that want to be a guest on Around the Reel, please email Sam at aroundthereal253@gmail.com.
That's aroundthereal253@gmail.com.
Not Messenger. Do not message Aaron on Messenger, because then he has to send you a message that says email Sam at aroundthereal253
aroundthereal253@gmail.com.
That's aroundthereal253@gmail.com.
How come they can't just message me again?
Because nobody wants to fucking talk to you.
Can anybody reach out? That's an artist, filmmaker, actor?
If you're an artist of any kind, we want to hear from you.
But we are going to vet the crap out of you.
We don't care if you make millions of dollars in Hollywood or if you're just beginning your career in the art industry. We don't care. So everybody that wants to be on Around the Reel, yes, we want you.
That's aroundthereal253@gmail.com.